Now, who doesn't remember the Cobra, Riccardo Riccò? One of the most mouthy, outspoken, hilarious, charismatic dopers in the history of cycling. One who almost lost his own life while doping after being sanctioned for doping. His story is well known, but now he's returned to the news headlines after an interview in the Spanish media, Relevo, an outlet known for interviewing dopers and taking a stance on athletes who win by cheating. Recent interviews have included the father of Marcel Bellocchi or the latter-day car salesman Yevgeny Berzin. However, the Italian rider has always been a different kind of cyclist, one of those who, once caught, even if caught consciously lying, has no problem talking about his own doping and that of his rivals. In this recent interview, Riccò accused 30 riders of his generation of doping, and then he also wanted to talk about his former directors, Dracula Gianetti and Moonlight Machin. The same ones who were still at the top of the sport, thanks to the money of the multi-millionaire Arab sheikhs and their current superstar, Tadej Pogacar. Let's analyse those statements, starting with the bravado and then ending with the accusations. The Cobra always makes us laugh out loud, especially when he insists that he would have won the 2008 Tour de France by a large margin because, according to him, he was by far the best climber in that edition. Recall that the Saunier Duval rider was 9th on GC, 2.5 minutes behind leader Cadel Evans and 1 minute behind the eventual overall winner, Carlos Sastre. That was at the time that Riccò was expelled for doping with Ipo Masira. Riccò had won in 2 stages, one of them with a tremendous display on the Col d'Aspin, just the day before his 2 teammates, today's Movistar director Leonardo Piepli and doped bison Juanjo Cobo, had crushed the favourites in a fondly remembered and oh-so-hilarious ascent of Otakam. Riccò had an uncommon self-confidence, half ignorance and half ego. He felt superpowers inside him, thanks to the exogenous force that his mentor and doping doctor, Dr. Carlo Santuccione, had given him, thanks to a simple injection of Masira, in exchange for €700. In the interview with Relevo, the blonde ice cream seller, coincidentally the favourite summer dessert of the current Saunier Duval team riders, Riccò shows his blind faith to this Italian doctor who died in 2017. The Italian doctor had assured him that he would not test positive for doping in the Tour de France with that novel substance, a substance which had become popular, of course, in the year of the Olympic Games. The Cobra was always an impulsive fellow and eager for quick fame, and he believed the doctor, and especially having seen other monsters who had not yet tested positive for doping, such as Alberto Contretrol and Emanuele Golem Sella in the Giro d'Italia, and so he promptly injected Masira. Coincidentally, he tested positive on his worst day in the race, in the Cholet time trial, where he didn't even finish in the top 100. To explain his positive, Riccò alludes to a conspiracy by Omari Sports, one that was disfavourable towards the race's lower-budget teams, such as Gerolsteiner, who needed to find sponsorship from repeat dopers Stefan Schumacher and Bernard Cole, or Saunier Duval, the team that, with only €5 million budget, flew over the mountains with cyclists oh so close to quarantine, such as the bald Piepoli. The Cobra claims that it was the Tour who decided that he was not going to win that edition, and that his team could not be on the final podium in Paris. Now, of course, as usual, this is a half-truth. In France, nobody believed the performance of Saunier Duval in that edition of the Tour, and evidently it was a political persecution in the middle of the UCI Omari Sports conflict over the Pro Tour system. And of course, the Tour de France that year had improved the anti-doping controls, adding new substances to the banned lists, and many doctors in the cycling world took the bait with Masira. And then there was the Dutch press, angered by the expulsion of Chicken Rasmussen from the future Visma Leasebike team. That had happened in 2007, of course, the previous edition. And they leaked seropositives from the first Slovenian cycling great, Tadej Valjevec, and 2 positives from Mark Cavendish's Team Columbia, Kim Kierken or George Hincapie, and then up to 5 riders from the Tour-winning team, the CSC, a friend of the channel, Biana Rees. But sadly that was all forgotten by Prudhomme, He thought that with the expulsion of Saunier and Gerolsteiner and Barlow-World, of Moises Dueñas and the White Kenyan, that was enough. But when we look a little closer, we see that the Tour director not only attacked the weaker teams, but also the powerful ones, such as Brunel Astana and Contretrol, who were not allowed to participate, or Roger Legier's always clean men at Crédit Agricole. Of course, there was a positive for heptaminol of the Kazakh Dmitry Fofanov. And so you can see that there's a degree of truth in what Riccò is saying, but it's not completely correct, is it? But this didn't stop him from going on the attack, spitting venom and poison, just as he did in his epocha as a cyclist. You see, for the Cobra, the first 30 classified in that 2008 Tour de France should have been disqualified for doping. We're not talking just about the winner, Carlos Sastre, whom the bald Guyana had defended in his own autobiography, insisting that at last there was a clean champion in cycling. It would be tragic and unprecedented that a Dane, always a Dane, was lying about doping. But it would also be painful if Riccò was right. If Riccò was right, then riders such as the Tour de France winners, Mr. I talk to Ferrari but not about doping Evans, and Mr. I don't know who Ferrari is, even if they connect me to him, Nibali, were already doped up to the eyebrows in 2008. Oh, it would be hard if riders such as the always clean in life Christian van der Velde, former doper but doper no longer Sammy Sanchez, or doped in Operation Puerto like Pete Valverde, were also doped in 2008. The Luxembourg brothers, friends of Motorman, were they also a lie? Or the legendary gregario of the White Kenyan, Konstantin Sutsu, was he another dirty monster created by doping? Well, according to Riccò, there were 30 riders in that tour, and he's accusing them directly. And of course, he believes that he deserved to win that tour. And if Omari Sports had continued with its policy of nothing happens here, as in the days of US Postal, perhaps he would have become a superstar, and he wouldn't have to devote himself to getting up at 7 every morning to sell ice cream. The journalist Julio Ocampo did not ask him about his relationship with Gianetti and Machin. It was Riccò himself who, wanting to exonerate his former directors, the ones who kicked him out of the team, we imagine in a similar way to the doper Mayo did just a month or two ago, Riccò blames directly both managers of the Saunier team. The Cobra says that each rider acted freely, but that his managers knew what the system was and just what was going on. In other words, what this wonderful mind tells us is that, yes, Gianetti didn't force Riccò to dope with Dr. Santuccioni. Riccò doped of his own free will. What a novelty. The managers have never been going around with guns forcing the riders to dope. But obviously, cycling is a results-based game, and if you don't get results, as so many riders have said, the directors kick you off the team. And so, in order to get results, if, as Riccò says, the top 30 riders of the Tour were doping, he obviously had to dope too, for glory and to keep his job. If the Cobra claims that directors Machin and Gianetti knew what the system was, isn't he implicitly saying that they knew that there was doping going on and did absolutely nothing to stop it, except, of course, expelling him from the team once he was caught cheating? But Riccò is right. Perhaps they went after Saunier because they were poor, because there was no money from oil exploiters backing them up and defending them. After all, they didn't go after CSC or Rabobank or Columbia. Without saying it, he's saying everything. It's hilarious, isn't it?